Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I would like to welcome all of you, my students and non-students, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I want to thank you all for being with me today. This class is a graduate class of Management 512, Organizational Behavior and Leadership. And we are in Chapter 2, Organizational Justice, Ethics, and Corporate Social Responsibility. And this is your instructor, Dr. Samir Al-Hamad from KFUPM. And today is September 6th, 2020. Now, when we talk about organizational justice, ethics, and corporate responsibility, okay, we'll talk about people when they work within your organization. Do they work because of money, or do they work for you as organization? There is a difference, okay? Am I working out of my heart to serve you and love you and appreciate you? This reflects how much you appreciate me, respect me, and deal me with dignity and respect. Or I'm just working there to, at the end of the month, just get my payroll and do my salary, and that's it. Okay. We'll be discussing today ethics, justice within the organization, the way we view it as we people work in this corporation, and the way the corporation view it, the justice, ethics, and corporate and social responsibility, which is called CSR, corporate social responsibility. This is very, very interesting chapter, okay? And how much does those workers feel that they are treated right, fair, and with dignity and respect? Now, as a rule, okay, of life, a person should not do anything that is illegal or unethical. As a result, if you do that, you will have a happy life. Therefore, don't do anything illegal or unethical. We'll discuss the justice, ethics, corporate social responsibility, and how much does this organization have contribution to the society. Okay, to start with, we are going to just give a brief idea and thought about, and we'll go into the chapter as we go along. Okay, and to start with, we have what we call, this is the person. Okay, this is the organizational justice. And this organizational justice has 4 levels. Okay. The first one, we call it disruptive justice. G. Second one, called procedural justice. Third one, informational justice. And the fourth one is interpersonal justice. Now, each type of these justice is different. Okay. Each type is different. Now, the informational justice, it's feeling the feelings valued by others. Okay. How much you are valued by other. This is called value by others. This is called informational justice. Interpersonal justice, feeling positive about leadership. Positive about leadership. How are your leaders? Are they good? Do you feel positive about them? Or are they bad? They always punish you and you have always bad impression about them. This is called interpersonal justice. Interpersonal justice. Procedural justice, mainly it's obeying rules and regulations. Rules and regulations. How much you are obeyed by rules and regulation of this corporation or company. And the disruptive justice is involved very much about the emotions and satisfaction. Are you satisfied within this organization? Now, this is very important to distinguish. We have disruptive justice, procedural justice. The disruptive justice, emotions and satisfaction. Okay. Now, procedural justice about the rules and regulations. Formational justice, how much you feel you are valued by other, and interpersonal justice, the positive about how much positive you are about your leadership. In organizational behavior or organizational psychology, this disruptive justice, this related to the right brain. Right brain, okay, which is associated with emotions. While the procedural justice is very much connected to the left brain. Okay, and this is very much related to the cognition. Maybe it's better to discuss right brain, left brain right now so that we understand exactly if this is the brain. Okay, this is the right brain and this is left brain. Okay, this is very much emotions and this is activated in response to emotions and this is activated in response to cognition. Okay, and here very much where disruptive justice effect activated And here is where the procedural justice activated. Very, very much interesting. Therefore, yes, it is connected, right brain, left brain, the type of justice and procedure. It does, we have the effect as we have seen. Now, the accordingly, we have the morale, which is fundamentals of beliefs of right and wrong, okay? And the ethics, which is conduct that guide people, decisions, and behavior. Now, manager, on the other hand, is, we discussed it before, we said manager is nothing more than decision maker and resource allocator and affected by moral ethics and he deals with people. And this is, and people have emotions. Therefore, he's not dealing with people, he's dealing with emotions of people. So these are nice introduction to our chapter, okay? We'll go through our chapter. And this is what we have just discussed, organizational justice. We have the disruptive justice, we have procedural justice, and we have informational justice, and we have interpersonal justice. Now, disruptive justice, satisfaction with outcomes, example, pay, work assignment, and so forth. Procedural justice, adherence to the rules and regulation. Informational justice, feeling valued by others in the organization. You feel that you have certain value by others, okay? Interpersonal justice, feeling positive about one's leader. This is the organizational justice, okay? And now, three keys or three concerns, okay, in the organizational justice, that it's a major form of organization and relationship among these forms and suggestion for promoting justice the disruptive justice. The key here is pay versus performance. Okay, now the effects of injustice in the disruptive. But if you feel here that there are no just, the effect of the injustice in the disruptive justice, this would result into high level of stress and dissatisfaction. Okay. Now, effects of injustice in the procedural justice, on the other hand, okay, this affects people start ignoring the rules. They don't adhere with the rules. Okay, and effects of the interpersonal justice. This one here. Okay, which is feeling positive about your leaders, okay? Feeling effects of injustice, that sometimes you take legal action against your leaders or bosses within the organization, okay? And informational justice, okay? If you effects of injustice here, this is tend to reject the decisions. Any decisions being taken by your superior, you tend to reject it, okay? Now, we talked about the neurological basis for response to justice. We talked about right brain, left brain, and effect of the right brain have effect on emotions, and this is affect very much the disruptive justice. Why the left brain related very much to cognition, and this is affect the procedural justice. Okay. Now, it's interestingly enough that a neurological basis for responses to injustice, okay, typically organizational behavior scientists focus only on people perception and their behavior, especially when it comes to organizational justice. Now, these are some examples, okay, of procedural justice criteria, okay? And this is the criteria, decision making, okay? This is the decision making of the, you can see it here, okay, good. This is the voice criteria, voice, if you have a voice in making the decisions, okay? Voice in making the decisions. You give people chance to be part of this decision making that you made. Okay. Example: workers are giving an opportunities to explain, okay, their feelings about their own about their own to the supervisor who is evaluating their performance. A description of that perception of procedural justice, okay, enhanced to the extent that people are giving a say in the decisions affecting them, as if you make people part of your decisions. Another example, consistency in applying rules, and this is if a professor like myself must use the same exact standards in evaluating the term papers of each student in the class. And here, to be fair, the rules used as the basis for making a decisions about one person must be applied equally to making a decisions about someone else. Another example here, criteria, accuracy in use of information. And here is when a manager calculating the amount of overtime pay a worker is to receive must add the numbers accurately. And the description here, fair decisions must be based on information that is accurate. Okay. Another examples, okay, for procedural criteria. Opportunity to be heard, okay? Like example, litigants have an opportunities to have a judge decisions reconsidered, okay, in the reconsidered in the event that an error was made in legal proceedings, okay? And here descriptions. Fair procedures are ones in which people have a readily available opportunities to correct any mistakes that have been made. Okay. Safeguard against biases as a criteria. Here, I don't like to bring this, but it is an example. It's lottery drawing are held in such a manner that each number is selected in a completely random and biased fashion. And the description, a person making a decision must not have any opportunities to bias the results. Okay. Now, strategic for promoting organizational justice. Okay, organizational justice have its own reward by being perceived as fair. Being fair will reduce the negative effects. Justice promoting methods, which is pay worker what they deserve, pay them the market price, not over, not under, probably over, it's up to you, okay? Offer workers a voice, as we discussed earlier, have a regular meeting to hear them, other possible ways or methods, meet them regularly and invite inputs, okay? Conduct employee surveys, have open door policy. We are gonna get into that again as we go along, okay? And use formal suggestion system. All these are methods and ways, okay, to make people feel more justice. Explain decision thoroughly in a manner demonstrating dignity and respect, as I mentioned earlier, okay? The additive relationship between interpersonal justice and informational justice. This a practical example, okay? This is a practical example for nurses, okay? Where we have this is where we have disruptive and procedural justice interaction. We have this is the means of insomnia rating, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And these are the months 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 9 months, okay? And these are supervisors trained in information and interpersonal justice. Idea or don't leave people in dark. Wherever there are rules or changes or procedure, don't leave them in dark. Always inform them to reduce tension, to reduce the feeling of injustice. This is very interesting study has been done by one of the authors as a research, okay? Here, the first 2 months, those people have given information and some people or trained and some nurses did not give information or train. This is insomnia. Insomnia was unchanged when pay remained disruptively fair. Your pay stay the same fair, okay? Therefore, this is no change, trained or untrained. There is no much change. However, supervise here, okay? Disruptively unfair pay promote insomnia, okay? Here, underpaid and trained. Underpaid and trained. Okay, here are the same payment, nothing changed. But here underpaid, the insomnia went all the way to 5. Okay, here when you give it training, supervisory, they give it training in informational and interpersonal justice. They lower insomnia among nurses. It came almost, okay, very close to the lower level that the people that has not changed their. Therefore, information is very, 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 very important. Therefore, you have to always give information and make justification so that people will feel justice. Okay. Now, this practical example, the additives relationship was demonstrated through research by one of the authors. Nurses who were under stress had less instances of insomnia when treated with interpersonal and informational justice than those who did not. What is the managerial implication? While managers may not have control over disruptive justice, the negative reactions and the stress levels of employees can be significantly reduced by treating employees with sensitivity and concern, uh, and by explaining the rationale behind their decision. Very, 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 very important to explain. Now, organizational justice could be accomplished, as we said, or promoting organizational justice strategies. Pay workers, as we discussed, pay workers what they deserve. Follow open and fair procedures. Offer workers a voice. Meet regularly and invite input. Conduct employee survey. Keep an open door policy. Use suggestion system. Okay. The result of fair process effect. Employee is given voice in making decisions. This will result employees feels valued by decision-making authorities, and this will result into employee believes the resulting decision is fair, and as a result, employee accept and follow the decision. Also, this employees feels valued about the decision-making authorities. This will result into employees beliefs the process on which the decision is based is fair, and eventually employees is supportive to the decision to the organizational itself. As we said, organizational justice promoting strategies, explain decision thoroughly in a manner, demonstrate dignity and respect, train workers to be fair. Organizational citizenship behavior. As a result, you will have your people become as organizational citizenship, or they behave as it will result into organizational citizenship behavior. Okay, now we talk about ethics. What do we mean by ethics? We have business ethic, we have moral or moral values, and we have the ethics in general. Now, business ethics is the study of people tendencies to behave morally appropriate ways in organization, while the moral or moral values is where people fundamental beliefs regarding what's right and what is wrong. Oops. Okay, good. Have it back. Sorry. Sometimes you have these technical problems. I'd like to. Okay, and therefore, this is and ethics. Ethics refers to standard of conduct, guided people decisions and behavior. Okay, but mainly ethics tell you what is acceptable or not acceptable. Very important to distinguish between the two. Okay? Now, ethics and moral. Ethics moral mainly distinguish between right or wrong. Okay? Ethics, what? Acceptable and not acceptable. Therefore, these are the distinguish between the two important concepts. Now, the moral more based on religious perspective, while the ethics based on socially accepted standard and conducts. And we have accordingly what we call organizational responsibility. Organizational or organizations should not attempt to teach moral, but they do have the responsibility to set and maintain proper and clear standards of behavior. Everything should be clear to everybody. This leads to what we call the epidemic of ethical scandal. Now, while recent newspaper articles and headlines might indicate dramatic upsurge of ethical problems in business, this is not the case. There have always been instances of ethical misbehavior in business. It's simply that the public has become more aware of and less accepting of it. Unethical behavior in business. This has made business more sensitive of ethical issues and has caused them to raise ethical standards. Good example, we see it everywhere at our government level, company level, and our government department levels become very, very sensitive and become very much concerned about ethics. Now, this is ethical behavior in organization. We have the moral values affect the ethics. Ethics affect decisions and eventually affect your behavior. Okay? Now, moral values affected by, as we said, religious background, beliefs, training, level of cognitive, moral development. Ethics affected by clearly articulated ethical standard, training and recognizing and applying ethical standards. Now, both the decision and action or decision and behavior affected by organizational and the group norms, affected by culture of the organization, affected by observation of leaders' behavior, and affected by work attitudes and motives, and external stressor. We'll go back again, give example. Value, moral value, which is fundamental beliefs about is good or bad, right or wrong. Fundamental belief about what's good or bad, right or wrong. This is moral values. Okay, example, it's wrong to harm another person. This will take us to the ethics, which is standard of conduct in keeping with one's moral value. What is my moral value? My ethics, okay? Example, I should not steal from company. Okay. Decision, okay. Now this is affected by the religious, the moral value, and level of cognition. Ethics affected by ethical standard and by training. Decisions plan for behaving in an ethical fashion. Example, I decided not to steal money from co-worker even though I need the money. This will result into behavior, action taken following the decisions made. Example, I do not steal. This is model give us an idea about ethical behavior in the organization. Now, ethics, following ethical standards, being ethical company, it pays off. Okay, bad ethics means bad business. This is a survey also, again, a survey shows percentages indicating that those people would do this if there is bad ethics. Okay, if company do something bad, have bad ethics, okay, they will do that. Consider switching to another company, product or service. 91% they said we would do that. Speak out against that company among my family and friends. Like 85% they said we'll do that. Refuse to invest in that company stock if it has bad ethics. Okay, 83%, which is high. Okay, they said they will do that. Refuse to work at that company. 80%. 80% of people that surveyed, they said, you will refuse working in that company that has bad ethics. Okay, boycotting or boycott that company, product or service. 76%. Wow. People in nature are very ethical. Okay, therefore they don't like to see any ethical conducts. Okay, be less loyal to my job at that company. If you are still working with that survey, they said 68% they will not be loyal. They will be less loyal to that. Very interesting research. Ethics enforcement policies. Ethics and the bottom line. As we said, profitability, while ethics may not directly lead to profitability, but lack of ethics may lead to failure, as we discuss in that study or survey. Okay, ethics and the law. Obeying the law is not the same as following ethical standard. There is a difference between them. We have what we call federal sentencing guidelines. Federal sentencing guideline or federal prosecution of business organization. And this law, it is a law with its focus of holding corporate boards accountable for the action of organizational they oversee. And this has led organization to be more proactive and clearly outlining ethical standard of behavior. And we have also what we call it Sarbanes-Oxley Act, another law. Okay, this is again another federal law, which focus on accounting practices has caused firm to enhance or to has caused firms to change the way they account for their businesses as well as audit their business practices. Two key areas with this Sarbanes-Oxley policy changing act, which is limited acceptance of entertainment and gift by employees, increase accurate company performance, documentations and the standards. Therefore, there are laws. Okay. Now, why? The question is, why do some people behave ethically at least sometime? The short answer is it depends. The two key factor appears to be differences in the individuals and situation. Therefore, two factors: individual situation, individual differences in cognitive moral development, or situational determinant of unethical behavior. Now, the individual differences, cognitive moral, which is cognitive moral development, okay? And this is the development stage which a person currently resides. The stage highlight the differences between people and their capacity to engage in the kind of reasoning that enable moral judgment. How much justification you have between yourself, okay? As a result, there is a theory, okay, which is called Kohlberg theory of cognitive moral development. And this theory of moral development is to try to physical and mental development of people as they mature. And there are three levels of this development theory, which is they call it pre-conventional level of moral reasoning. And this is look at just myself, what I care about me, only me, okay? Do not have capacity to assume the perspective of others, okay? Or the second one, conventional level, which is pre-conventional, conventional level of moral reasoning. And all what you care is, what good for others. This is cares about this level. People can judge right and wrong in terms of what is good for others. Therefore, the pre-conventional, only me, conventional, what's good for others, okay? And post-conventional, okay? And this is very complex philosophy, depending on your principles of duties, justice, and rights and wrong. It's very complex. This is post-conventional, okay? Therefore, this is the three levels: pre-conventional, only me; conventional, what's good for others as well as me; and post-conventional, this is very complex philosophy. It is beyond these two. Now, behavior and cognitive moral development level, these three levels, generally people at higher levels are less inclined to harm others. The higher you are in the organization, the less likely you make harm for others, okay? Because you are above these small things or small details, okay? Inclined to harm others, less likely to misreport information, and less likely to steal from the organization. Now, the other one, they called it situational, depends situation, determinants of unethical behavior. And there are again three main situational factors that affect these ethicals, and this is some organizational norms discourage ethical behavior, and social pressure, pay, rewards, and advancement system all may lead to unethical behavior. And we also have what we call managerial value, sometimes discourage ethical behavior, okay? Giving the amount of power and influence that managers hold over subordinate. You give him too much power, make him feel that he's, he's so strong, so powerful, he can go beyond rules and anything. And you go like the style of thinking that managers possess can be reflected in the employees. You will have same mentality, same kind of employee. Some of this traditional thinking may lead to unethical behavior. Accordingly, we have what we call 3 levels again: bottom line mentality, exploitive mentality, and Madison Avenue mentality. The bottom line mentality, all what I care about is the organization, just to bring financial reward for organization or profit. Exploitive mentality, it's all about me, the person himself, the employee. He doesn't care about the organization as much as he cares about himself. Madison Avenue mentality, it's impression management, is just as the appearance, you act as if, or the appearance of doing the right things matters more than the actually doing it. Doesn't actually or necessarily doing it. This is called impression management. Therefore, we have the bottom line mentality, and we have exploitive mentality, and we have Madison Avenue mentality. Using corporate ethics programs to promote ethical behavior. Components of corporate ethics programs, okay? Okay. Companies, these programs are formal, systematic efforts designed to promote ethics by making people sensitive to potentially unethical behavior and discouraging them from engaging, and such as they put code of ethics, which is written document, a document describing what organizational stands for, and this document address responsibilities of the employees, relationship with the people, and probation against or prohibition against inappropriate behavior. We have also ethical training, which provide training on ethics, increase the effectiveness of codes of ethics. And accordingly, we have bodies formally responsible of ethics. Some organizations create ethics committees, department, like here we have هيئة مكافحة الفساد. This is a good example, okay? And some companies, they put ethics officers, okay? So many ways, okay? Now, a mechanism for communicating ethical standards, you have to always, in order to be effective, ethical standard must be articulated, repeated, and reinforced frequently. And we have what we call ethics audit. And this is the practice of assessing an organizational ethics standards. How effective are corporate ethics programs? How effective this corporate ethics program? While code of ethics by themselves are relatively ineffective, the integrated programs that includes code of ethics, which with the additional components mentioned previously, can be quite effective. We have outcome of effective ethics programs at individual level and at organizational level. We have additional factor, which is the effectiveness of corporate ethics program is often mitigated by the cognitive moral development level of the employees involved. Now, ethics in the international arena. Ethics in the international arena. This is ethical relativism versus ethical imperialism. These are the two extremes, and this is the quantum. Ethics, does it vary and change from one country to the other? Yes, depends on the country. What is accepted ethically in some societies or some country, in other countries, sometimes is prohibited and unaccepted. Very important. Now, these are the two views, okay? First view, ethical relativism, said ethics is relative, okay? And they have this famous saying, when in Rome. Sometimes happen, you go, okay, in Rome, therefore it's no internationally acceptable standards of right and wrong. And versus the ethical imperialism said, no, what is different may be considered wrong. If it is different from my ethics in my country, it will be considered wrong. The ethical standard of one own country are considered most appropriate. And these are the guiding principles, okay? When you work, show respect for core human values when you work with different culture, demonstrate sensitivity to local tradition, recognize that context matter. Very, very, very important, okay? Unethical behavior, situational determinants, okay? And this is the ethical norms of society, and this is counter norms in the organization. In terms of openness and honesty, ethical norm, be open and honest. Counter norms, be secretive and deceitful. Following the rules, ethically, always follow the rules. Counter norms, break rules if necessary to get ahead. Use of resources, ethically, be efficient, cost effective, while counter norms, use it or lose it. Taking responsibility, ethically assume responsibilities, even for negative action, while counter norms, pass the buck or the money or the dollar to others if it helps you look better, as if you give people money or bribe, okay? Working with others ethically, be a team player, share credit with others. Counter norms, grand stance, take credit for your own positive action. Put everything in your advantage and forget about others. Unethical behavior situation determinants, managerial values sometimes discourage ethical behavior. We have bottom line mentality, exploitive mentality, we explain it, and Madison Avenue mentality. And we have subordinate, emulate managers' unethical behavior. If you have a manager who misbehave, unethical, what do you expect of the follower? They will be the same. Their example is going to be their leader. Okay. Corporate ethical programs. We say that we have code of ethics, okay, and ethical training. Official bodies formally responsible for ethics. Mechanism for communicating ethical standards and ethical audits. Okay, as we discuss it. This is corporate ethical program effectiveness, okay? And this is the means and number of pennies stolen, the money, okay? Level of moral development, okay? Now, this is ethical program. If you put program, it will go down. Non-ethical program, it will stay, it's plateau. An ethic program had no effect on employees, effect among workers at the preventional level of cognitive moral development. But if you start giving them program, and ethical programs, okay, successfully reduce employees' theft among workers at the conventional level of cognitive moral development. Corporate social responsibility, CSR. The basic foundation is the financial responsibility, making profit for the stakeholder for the company. Second level, legal responsibility, following the laws of societies. Then the third level, ethical responsibilities, which is doing what is right and good for everyone. And the last one at the top of this pyramid is the philanthropic responsibilities, which is al-ihsan, contributing to and helping society at large. But this is the core and the essence for CSR, corporate social responsibility. Okay, socially responsible behavior forms making charitable contributions, preserve the environment, invest socially responsibly, and promote employees' welfare. Last but not least, as a result, we have the virtuous circle, which is doing well by doing good will result into doing good by doing well. Doing well by doing good, being socially responsible, help, socially responsible help companies make money. While when you're doing good by doing well, we have rich companies can afford to be more socially responsible. And this circles goes on and goes forth, okay? And by this, we will conclude our class that almost took 1 hour. I will take you, as usual, to what has been written and discussed for your own reference. I will also send that for you to the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much, and you have a good day. Bye now.